For decades, the digital world has rested on a simple assumption that certain problems are practically impossible to solve. Modern encryption, the kind that protects your bank account, your private messages, your government's secrets, depends on math that would take classical computers longer than the age of the universe to crack. That assumption is now breaking. Quietly, relentlessly, and once it breaks, nothing digital remains untouched. Quantum computing isn't coming like a gadget. It's arriving like a new law of physics entering the economy. And unlike previous tech revolutions, this one doesn't just create new capabilities, it invalidates old ones entirely. Right now, most of the world still thinks quantum computing is experimental, distant, theoretical, something for research labs and academic journals. That belief is dangerously outdated, because the most important phase of the quantum era has already begun. And it's not about speed, it's about memory. Harvest now, decrypt later. Governments, corporations, and intelligence agencies are already stockpiling encrypted data today, knowing that once quantum machines mature, yesterday's secrets will become readable overnight. Medical records, military communications, corporate IP, diplomatic cables. Data doesn't expire, encryption does. This is why post-quantum technology isn't a future upgrade, it's an emergency migration. To understand why, you have to understand what makes quantum different. Classical computers process information in bits, ones, and zeros. Quantum computers operate on qubits, which exist in multiple states at once. This isn't just faster math, it's a fundamentally different way of exploring reality. Problems that scale exponentially for classical machines collapse into solvable spaces for quantum systems. The most famous example is Shor's algorithm. On a sufficiently powerful quantum computer, it can factor large numbers exponentially faster than any classical method. And factoring large numbers is the backbone of RSA encryption, which still protects a massive portion of global digital infrastructure. When RSA breaks, it doesn't partially fail, it disappears. And here's the uncomfortable truth. No one knows exactly when that moment arrives. Not 5 years, not 15. The uncertainty is the threat, because infrastructure takes decades to replace and attackers only need 1 day of advantage. That's why the world's smartest institutions are already pivoting. The United States National Institute of Standards and Technology has spent years selecting post-quantum cryptographic standards designed to survive quantum attacks. These algorithms don't rely on factoring or discrete logarithms. They use lattice-based problems, hash-based signatures, and error-correcting structures that even quantum machines struggle with. But transitioning isn't simple. Encryption is everywhere, in firmware, in satellites, in medical devices, in power grids, in cars. Many systems deployed today will still be operating when quantum computers reach maturity, and some of them cannot be easily updated. This is the real danger, not a dramatic hack, a silent incompatibility. And this is where the story stops being about computers and starts being about control. In the quantum era, power shifts toward those who can simulate reality more accurately than others. Drug discovery, material science, climate modeling, financial risk, logistics, warfare. Quantum doesn't just solve problems faster, it reveals paths classical systems could never even see. This creates a new asymmetry between nations, between corporations, between those who can afford quantum infrastructure and those who must react to its consequences, which is why China, the US, and the EU are racing on 2 parallel tracks, one to build quantum capability, the other to defend against it. Post-quantum cryptography is defensive, quantum computing is offensive, and history shows that offense usually matures first. Meanwhile, a second layer of the transition is unfolding: quantum networking. Quantum key distribution promises theoretically unbreakable communication by exploiting the physics of observation itself. Any interception alters the signal. In theory, perfect security. In practice, expensive, fragile, and limited by distance. But nations are deploying it anyway, because even partial immunity is better than total exposure. What's emerging is a fragmented future. Classical networks patched with post-quantum algorithms, elite quantum-secure channels for governments and corporations, and a widening gap between public and privileged security. This isn't speculation. It's visible in budgets, roadmaps, and policy papers. And then there's the elephant in the room: artificial intelligence. Quantum and AI are not separate revolutions. They amplify each other. Quantum systems can accelerate optimization and pattern discovery. AI systems can help design better quantum hardware and error correction. Together, they form a feedback loop that compresses innovation timelines, which means timelines we once measured in decades are now measured in product cycles. This is where the philosophical shift happens. In the Hubbard-style view of systems, technology doesn't replace human decision-making immediately. It first redefines what decisions even mean. When systems can explore millions of future states simultaneously, choice becomes probabilistic, strategy becomes statistical, responsibility becomes distributed. Post-quantum security isn't just about protecting data, it's about preserving agency in a world where prediction itself becomes a commodity. Because once systems can anticipate outcomes with quantum-level precision, control moves upstream to whoever owns the models. One intelligence leak can trigger systemic distrust. One miscalculation can obsolete an entire generation of security overnight. This is why the smartest organizations aren't asking when quantum arrives. They're asking what breaks first. And the answer isn't encryption alone. It's trust. Trust in digital identity, trust in records, trust in history itself. Post-quantum technology is the attempt to hold the line, to build cryptography that survives not just faster machines, but smarter ones. But it's a race against time, complexity, and coordination. Because upgrading math is easy, upgrading civilization is not. We are entering an era where the past is no longer safely locked behind computation, where secrets age backward, where the future reaches into yesterday and rewrites its meaning. Quantum computing doesn't announce itself with explosions or headlines. It arrives quietly, in labs, in standards committees, in firmware updates no one reads. And when it finally becomes visible, it will already be too late to pretend we weren't warned. This isn't the end of security, but it is the end of security as we understood it. And whatever comes next will belong to those who prepared, while everyone else was still arguing about timelines.